I was never the kind of person who believed in signs, coincidences, or destiny. I always thought things just happened, and some good, some bad, and you simply kept going. But that day changed everything I thought I knew about life, about time, and even about myself. It was an ordinary Tuesday. I was 23, working as an intern in a small company, constantly running between work and college. I was always late, always tired, always on autopilot. I'd wake up, grab some coffee, take the bus, work, study, come home, and sleep. Every day the same, like someone had hit the repeat button on my life. That morning, I woke up late, as usual. I left the house without eating, trying to answer messages while crossing the street. That's when it happened. A screech of brakes, a shout, and suddenly everything went white. When I opened my eyes, I was lying on the sidewalk, and a woman was holding my hand, asking if I could hear her. The car had stopped just inches away from me. I was shaking. The woman kept saying something about luck, about how I should thank God for being alive, but my mind was somewhere else. Everything was quiet, like the world had turned off its sound for a few seconds. And in that silence, I realized how much of my life I'd been letting slip by without truly living it. For the next few days, I couldn't think about anything else. On the bus to work, I'd stare out the window, watching people rushing by with tired faces, and wonder how many of them even knew what they were missing. For the first time, I really saw everything. The sky, the sound of traffic, even the wind on my face. Simple things, but somehow they felt new. I decided to change a few things. I started small, put my phone aside for a while, picked up drawing again, went out for walks with no destination. My mom thought I was acting weird, my friends teased me, but I didn't care. For the first time in years, I felt peace. And the strangest part was that the slower I moved, the faster the world seemed to rush around me, like I'd finally found my own rhythm. One Saturday afternoon, I sat on a park bench to sketch and saw a girl reading a book. She looked up and smiled like she recognized me. And without thinking, I smiled back. We talked for hours about books, music, the fear of growing old, and the need to live something real. Her name was Julia. She told me she'd also been in an accident months earlier and had been trying to live slower ever since. From that day on, we started meeting often. We'd grab coffee, take long walks, or just sit quietly, watching people hurry past. And it was funny. While the world kept running, I felt time slow down whenever we were together. One day she said to me, "Maybe life only really starts when we stop chasing it." I never forgot that line. My parents noticed the difference. "You seem lighter," my mom said one evening. I just answered, "It's because I finally learned how to breathe." She laughed, thinking I was joking, but to me it made perfect sense. For the first time, I wasn't in a hurry to get anywhere. With time, I realized the accident hadn't just been a scare, it had been a turning point. Before it, I existed. After it, I started to live. I began to notice small things. The smell of coffee, slow conversations, cloudy days. Things that once felt meaningless, but somehow made me feel whole again. A year later, I took Julia back to that same street where it had all happened. I showed her the exact spot where the car had stopped, and she held my hand gently. "So this is where time gave your life back?" she asked. I laughed and said yes, but deep down, I knew that wasn't quite true. Time didn't give me anything. I was the one who had to stop and finally see what had always been there. Now, whenever I hear people complain about routine, deadlines, or the sameness of every day, I think of that Tuesday. The sound of the brakes, the shock, the woman holding my hand. And I realize that sometimes you have to almost lose everything to understand what really matters. Time didn't stop that day. I did. And ever since, I've promised myself never to live on autopilot again. Because life, when you really pay attention, is beautiful even in the smallest moments we used to think were too ordinary to notice.